Welcome back to Between Two Cars with your favorite car guys, Kyle Orr and the Walrus.
Finally,
The Walrus.
it's taken you 5 times to get the name right.
That's right. And joining us today, way out of left field, first time on live TV because he's been banned around the world from being live, Brad Clark.
Brad, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Good.
Doing great.
Good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, Brad's, as you guys know in previous podcasts, Brad sells vehicles here at the Auto Parlor. He does much more than that on a daily basis. And
Since he didn't have any appointments today, we thought we'd bring him onto the show.
he's starting March out real well.
Yeah.
That's my lack of performance from yesterday. I didn't meet my phone calls.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I'm sure there's going to be more jokes about that later.
Yes, there will
Okay.
be.
there will be.
There will be. We're excited about this this podcast here because we got one of the guys that on our show that actually didn't grow up in the car business. He grew up doing running a bunch of businesses, which we'll talk about. He'll talk about that here in a bit. So he's going to kind of give his intake, I guess, on the difference between the car business and maybe some other type of businesses. And then we're going to shoot him down, and then we're going to hug him because he's going to get hurt. No.
If there's one thing I know about Brad, he's going to speak what's on his mind.
100%.
So
That's why we love him.
I guess we'll start it out. Brad, how's it feel to be one on Between Two Cars, and two, how's it feel to be a part of the Auto Parlor committee here?
It feels fantastic first to be a part of the Auto Parlor. To be on the podcast, I will tell you that I got talked to numerous times about my language, so I promised that I would keep it clean.
He's got to stay out of the A's and the F's. Other than that, he's good to go.
Who doesn't love the F, though? Come on.
I hear you. I understand.
Come on.
So let's get this sucker started off. So, Kyle, why don't you lead us in the right direction here?
Well, I met Brad. I was working at Chevy with you for the first time, right?
Right.
And then he left and was going to go sell cars somewhere else or another dealership. And
We called him the genie.
Yeah.
Poof, he's gone. We didn't know where he went. He just disappeared on us.
You knew where I went.
and then he came back with his tail between his legs and said, "Maxwell, I love you." And
No,
something
actually,
isn't that what you told me?
no, that's not what I told you. Not even close. Appreciate that, though.
Yes.
Actually, we just got to talking, and Brad could share that story. But, one of the things about the car business and about managing, about leading, we can say it's managing. It's really about leading people. Is that you have to, the key to be successful is you have to be humbled. You guys agree with that, right?
Yep.
And you have to always be learning. You got to get the arrogance out of it. And for a long time, I had a problem with that. I wasn't doing a good job. I until we got into, I keep saying his name, James Corley came on board.
Yeah.
Really, the inner self-reflection wasn't there for me. I'm not going to speak for you guys. I was an okay manager. I don't think I was a great one. I don't think I've ever been great. I think I've been a good person to help people learn things. But he got us hooked up with, at that time, was again Southwest Consulting, which can't say enough about that company. It's changed my life. Tony and Kitty have been very instrumental in helping me improve. But anyway, so I think with Brad's got he's a little bit older than us. I think you'll see by his beard, and so he's got a little bit more experience in certain things. And his biggest thing that Brad and I always talk, just like you and I do, and his biggest thing, and you and I have had the same conversation, is there's such a lack of talent in the car business. I mean, there's some good talent, don't get me wrong, but we tend to, in the car business, okay, hey, a guy goes out there and sells 15 cars, he's ready for management. And then we throw him in there, right? And then nobody spends any time with him. We're like, go out there and sell cars. It's the same thing when we hired people. There wouldn't be a training program. And when Mr. Corlew came in and set us up with that and said, okay, hey, Matt, I got to get you better. And he set me up with this training, and he set me up with Gary House as well. I think I I think I learned. Would you agree with that, Brad? You saw me
Absolutely,
before
yeah.
and different, so it kind of it changed me. I didn't realize. I realize it now. You don't realize it when you're younger, I guess. I think the hardest thing about being a leader is you have to recognize that you're a leader no matter what position you're in.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you're sales, detail. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life. You're always a leader, and you have to. And I didn't really take that to heart until
Well,
later.
I think it's funny when guys get in the car business, they chase after that management position or that management title, and I'm telling you what, it takes a lot to be in that position.
Right.
I mean, and whoever you're working for at the time, obviously we work for ourselves now, so we kind of have developed our leadership and how we want the auto parlor to be ran, which I think Brad's happy with.
I'm still here.
He's
I am.
still here.
I'm very happy with it.
Well, and we still have processes and things we're still ironing out.
Yeah.
So it's
And I think too, the three of us are still trying to learn. I think you and him know how to work together, right? You and I know how to work together. Kyle and I are still trying to learn how to
Right.
work together.
Sure.
You know?
Sure, I agree
But
with
I mean,
that.
it's gelling and it's working.
Well, there's things that pop up. It's our second full month of being open. We've been in business since October, but it's our second month of being open's done.
Operational,
Right? And we're learning things going through. We talked today about we may need to change this process, and we'll figure it out. It's probably going to take some time, but I think the most important thing is never. And just like leading people, you have to reinvent yourself all the time in business. And if you ever get stagnant, like you will in leadership, which you become stagnant, you quit losing. I think that's when you lose your edge, you lose your people, you lose
yourself first, right?
Right.
Your attitude starts changing, what you want to do starts changing, and then I think the biggest mistake as managers is they take their overwhelming their overwhelming pressure and they start feeding it into their people. Well, your people weren't a bad person. You were just lost in a management cycle that everybody goes through, and you can turn a lot of guys away. And I think what Matt was trying to lead to on Brad and his relationship is Brad's not a quiet guy, and he frankly called him out on it, and said, "Hey, you made a mistake." And the walrus is humble enough. He accepted it and
The walrus.
yeah. Well, I mean, the walrus.
Well, at
is
the
a
time
humble
I
guy.
didn't accept it though. What I'm saying is that for Brad, a guy like Brad, you correct me if I'm wrong. It's probably very, very hard for you, knowing what you know and being in the leadership roles and running those companies that you ran, to walk in to see a guy like me. And I think you knew I had talent. I don't
Absolutely.
disagree with that.
That's
Or
why we sat down and
right,
talked so
and
many
then,
times.
Right. And then you're like, okay, hey dude, listen, I've been in your shoes, man. Okay, you got to quit doing this crap, right?
Yeah.
And so that's hard. That's hard for you to even have that conversation. You're talking with your boss, right?
Yeah.
But you respected me enough to do that, which I appreciate wholeheartedly. And I think we've had a good relationship. It's been up and down, but we've always respected each other. I mean, he knows he can come to me or you or whatever and be honest. There's no doubt. Would you disagree with that?
No, I would
And
not.
I'll look at
disagree
you
with that.
sometimes cross-eyed, say, "Get the hell out of my office."
You will,
But
but I'll come back and say the same thing tomorrow.
and then we'll talk about it or
Right.
whatever.
I just stare at him.
So tell us about what you think, what you thought, your thoughts of how you got in the car business, what you thought about the experience, and where you're at today, the differences, and some of the do's and don'ts, and some of the mistakes maybe you've made. So because you're still, you've been doing this how long?
7 years.
That's still young.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
Thank you for that compliment.
You're fine. I just watched a tornado go out in our parking lot. That's nice. Took one of our flags with them. 80-mile-an-hour winds on a day like today is great. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. That's my ADD, folks.
Yeah.
The walrus has ADD.
So I've been doing it for 7 years. It was a tough transition. Matt knows firsthand when I first came into the business, because I was brought up in a completely different culture
Right.
from the car business. I was absolutely stunned and shocked when I came into the car business is how it was ran and what happens and how everything works, the process. I remember I had a customer told me about the holding on rate that what big dealerships do. I didn't know that was happening. I worked there 6 months. I didn't know that's what goes on.
Yeah.
Customers like, oh, I know when I get back there in the finance, they're going to lower my rate so they can throw in a warranty. I'm thinking, what are you talking about?
Right. Well, first off, that's not
Illegal.
everybody does that. It's illegal.
Oh, I know.
But you're right. That's the perception of our business. I mean,
Right.
our business has a bad perception.
Yeah, but it was big when I first got in. There were numerous times where I was going home to my wife and going, "What in the heck am I doing?" I didn't cuss. See? What in the heck am I doing here? And I kept listening to Matt. Matt's the one. Matt, Tyler Nation,
Right.
Ryan Hayes, and Dylan Turner.
Great people.
All they're
Phenomenal.
awesome to work with. It's back in the good old days. I think we had one of the best teams back then, me personally. But I listened to those, the four of you try to teach me, and why you did is still beyond me because we didn't have a whole lot in common, our styles, but the four of you did, right? And I shut up and I listened, and that was a humbling experience for me to have to zip it because I knew nothing about the car business, absolutely nothing. I knew how to get customers to love me and like me. That's all I did. And I remember you telling me, just get them inside. And I did. I'd get them inside. And one of the managers,
that was bad advice on my part.
But I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, it
I
needed to be
learned.
more in depth than that.
But we're talking about your growth too, though.
Sure.
But 7 years ago when I got them inside, it was learning for me. You don't know that, but someone like Kyle, who was a manager, would come to the table, and I would shut up and listen.
Right.
I'm like, oh, this is how this works. So it was learning for me.
Right.
But I still struggle today with I'll just say it, the lack of talent in the industry. Just like you said, I think somebody who sells 15 cars, 6 months out of the year in the car industry, we're in. We're going to promote them.
Yeah.
It never works out. They have zero leadership skills.
Well, the problem is they don't develop. They don't spend any time with their people. They don't sit down and have one-on-ones and say, okay, hey, let me show you and teach you and walk you through and teach them why the X's and O's of the car business.
They stop growing.
Well, we weren't taught that. I mean, the one-on-ones didn't happen, and and that's Southwest kind of is like, okay, hey, you got servant leadership. That's what it is, servant leadership.
Yep.
There's absolutely none of that in the car business.
No.
Okay.
Well, I absolutely agree with that.
I'll say Southwestern's biggest deal for managers is, man, when you're in a big dealership, you got a lot coming at you, and their time management, their scheduler is massive. I mean, I'll credit that. I've always thought I was pretty good and kind of come in and I do my own thing and I've got my little system, but when I use their time blocker, man, I accomplish so much more every day.
Even if you look at Andy Elliott, the way his process is, same thing. It's time management. He's a little bit more dynamic as far as he's more out there than
it's like workout,
right.
sell a car, workout.
But it's all time management. That's what he's doing, and he's also But he's talking. He's not doing management training. He's doing salespeople training.
Right.
And I can guarantee when he gets into management training, because that's what he's going to be doing, leadership training. He'll get into that deal. It's how you. He's going to do the same thing. It's you got to be involved with your people, and you have to have your people know that you've got their back and that you want them to be successful.
I think a big deal is you got. For me, when I had a sales guy underneath me, I look at that guy and I stare that man or woman in their eyes and think they have got to go out there and feed their family. So it's, as a leader, it's your responsibility to take that person and develop them to the highest level they can to produce for their family. You have to truly care about that person.
Hey, who thought we'd do a podcast with Brad on it and talk about leadership?
I had dreams about you, Brad, but they weren't about a podcast.
No. But I will tell you that the Southwest, the company you guys are talking about, I have told Matt, I don't know, 4 times since I've been back, you and I've been back, how proud I am of you, of the change you've made. I didn't work with you, Kyle, so not leaving you out, but the change that you've made, I mean, it was,
I just came in like a hero. Like he's like, where'd this guy come from?
We'll take it. But Matt has changed dramatically from where you were.
He's still changing.
Yeah,
every day.
I've lost 7 pounds this week, guys.
He's 7 pounds
So
lighter
spinach
today
lighter.
than he was the last time you saw him.
That's right. The tortoise might actually beat the hare in the story.
Yeah.
Just so you know. So, but that, I agree. So in going further, we were talking about the difference of what we want to create here at the Auto Parlor is to take the people that can lead and create an atmosphere where the customer is first.
Yeah.
And we get, they have a fun experience. And then, we just had our friends from KY3 in here, right? They were just in here talking because Carl Olson, and they've heard a buzz going around town about what's going on at this auto parlor in Nixa, and he's known me for quite some time. But they just spent 30 minutes with us just talking. There wasn't a pitch about advertising at all. They just wanted to come out and say, hey, what's going on? I mean, what are you guys doing?
They almost made you late for the podcast.
I understand. And
He was late.
but it was interesting listening to them talk because they're listening going, okay, this is what people want. This is what we're trying to do here is what people want. And we're not getting caught up in, and I'll say it again, and I kind of get a little bit of disgusted with it. These guys that come out here and want to toot their horn and show everybody what I've done, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Put the trophy away, okay, and go sell cars and develop your people. That's what they're not doing, and it gets me upset because these they want to walk out here and toot their own horn because
about them, not
daddy
their
gave
people.
them a dealership or mommy or whatever their cousin's brother, sister. I don't care, but it's wrong, but they don't want to spend. So Southwest Consulting for the salespeople was what, $600 a person, $600 a month. That's everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's expensive.
A month?
That was a month. It's not that the store. What I did with the guys, I said, okay, hey, we'll take care of you. I'll pay for it. But you had to hit a certain number. Well, the certain number was 8 cars. Okay, that's eight cars. And 8 cars, you're going to get a professional coaching experience. That's going to teach you to become better. And
the national average at that time was 8.5, and we were in COVID.
I'm like,
So I mean, it had to be.
we had a
lot
bunch of them
larger.
that wouldn't do it. You had.
Oh my God.
And then you get these guys. They're like, I don't need coaching. I had managers doing it.
I got
don't,
this.
I got it. I don't
Yeah.
need it. And they couldn't.
Yeah.
And then here's what's crazy. Then they bounce from job to job to job, and they can't develop anybody. Their turnover's high, and then they wonder why. And then
It- Isn't
Every
called,
large
like-
dealership here.
Don't they have a word called humility? Right?
yeah,
Every large dealership in this town, turnover's high.
it is.
And the bar is really low.
He's referring to the greater Springfield area, not the Nixa
Yes,
area.
not Nixa.
Nixa's great. We love this place. And there's no big dealerships here.
There's not.
Oh, there's one that's just put its roots in the ground, though. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Tell you that. We're trendsetters. So, and I'm not trying to badmouth anybody, okay? I don't want to badmouth anybody, but the truth is the truth, and it hurts. And that's what some, and I'm not saying that we're perfect or anything like that, by no means. But we were willing to take a chance. The coaching for a manager was $1,200 a month, and I paid that. The store didn't pay that. I paid that. Okay, we paid that. And everybody's like, I can't believe you're paying that kind of money. I go, it's priceless information. It's so important. And
Well, he reimbursed
better.
me for it as part of my sales comp, as long as I hit certain numbers, and my team smashed those.
well,
I think if I go back and calculate it, you might owe me some money.
Every
think so.
person I've spoken to, anybody that knows me, and we have a conversation, we're going to talk about leadership, whether it's here or outside or wherever, right? It's sad to me that in the industry, in the greater Springfield area, not Nixa, that it is like a deer in the headlights when I talk about leadership, when I talk about culture, team member appreciation, morale, I'm just like, dude, what are you talking about?
Well, imagine this, Brad. You in the morning, we talk about what you're doing for your son, right? He's developing into being a basketball player.
Yeah.
That's his passion. That's his goal. You're feeding into, what he's doing in life, what his passion is, and letting him kind of run with it. And you're guiding him. I think you're getting him some extra lessons and stuff, right?
I am, yeah. We just signed up, and I'm pretty excited. Saturday morning's his first one-on-one with a professional basketball player from overseas that lives here in Springfield. Very excited.
So just imagine that. That's just like the car business, right?
Shit.
Yeah.
Guy walks in, wants to be passionate. They all are passionate the first day they get there.
Yeah.
They always love people. They always love cars, and they think, oh, I can get along great with it. In 60 days or 90 days down the road, right? Who down?
Right. Well, they're not disciplined. They don't improve, and they give up. And you're going to have ups and downs in sales. I've been doing this over 25 years, almost 30, to be quite honest with you.
Except for right now, every month is a record month for a new business.
That is true. We've been smoking it.
Yeah.
They asked me, the guy goes in there from KY3, he goes, "You're having fun, aren't you?" I go, "Does it sound like it?" He goes, "It sounds like you." He goes, "This is really neat." I go, "Well, yeah, the car business is fun. It's the
Especially now.
well, especially now. It's the people, it's the leaders that aren't leaders that make it difficult. For example, you better make 750,000 calls today, or you can't go home. Well, okay, how about let's show them how to make one phone call and get a result from it.
Get an appointment out of it.
Right, and
Sell a car
instead of worrying about how many phone calls you make.
That's treating them like they're a hourly paid employee.
Right.
I mean, for anybody in sales, commission sales, if you don't sell a car, you don't get paid, right? So why do I care how many calls you make as long as I help you sell a car?
Well, what's happened is the corporations have dialed down. They're managing from their P&L reports. They're looking at percentages. You got a bunch of guys that are accountants up there saying, "Hey, you should do this better." Instead of, you know what? Why don't you develop your people better and watch those numbers get crushed?
Here's why. They don't know how. Because those folks that are in those roles, they're not leaders.
Right.
They just absolutely don't know how.
Well, their egos also are there.
Most
so
people
they're
in
up
those
there
roles,
with these big ass egos.
Yeah.
And I just used the A word. These big.
I'm going to use it again.
Okay, these big egos, and then they want to sit there and tell everybody, okay, hey, they know how to do everything, and they couldn't even. Half those guys couldn't go out and walk out there and sell a car to begin with.
Yeah. When he says A word, that's not for auto parlor.
No.
By the way.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you get and then they want to sit there and expect your people to come in and work longer hours and make less money.
Yeah. It is solely for me. I must say the A word, so forgive me. But what I've seen in the 7 years I've done this, the folks that are, no offense, the folks that are in those manager roles, they know how to kiss somebody's ass.
Well, a lot of them.
That's what gets you there. I mean, a guy was
Not me.
just
I've
promoted.
got small lips.
A guy was just promoted, 4 months ago for the way he dressed. What the hell is that?
Well, that's
it's
okay.
like, what?
That's completely.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Where'd that happen at the old store?
Yeah, at the old store. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a lack of incompetence from the
Yes,
leader.
I agree.
I'm sorry. They could sit there. I mean, and if they're
So
watching, to get
one
offended,
thing I
don't
want to
care.
commend you guys really quick. It's always been another peeve of mine with leadership in the car business. But both you guys, if you come in here and you look under their desk, they got stacks of books. We had this conversation the other day. They've actually read the books, right?
So read them.
Still do, right? We talk about them. There's quotes flying around all the time about books. What in the hell is up with the trend in the car industry where every dealership I've worked at, the GM will go and spend hundreds, thousands of dollars on these books.
But never reads them.
No, he may read them.
Never practices what he reads.
Doesn't practice. None of the staff does. They don't practice, but they'll have this big conference
here's what
around
happens.
them
Here's what
saying,
happens.
"Oh, it was a great book."
I will tell you this: growing up over the Toyota store, Tony Stubblefield, what he was really good at, okay, was we would sit there, and when he brought in a book or something like that, we talked about what we learned in a group setting and how we can apply that to become better. So we had at one point Dave Anderson, he which is a big trainer in the car business. He had a workbook. This is when we had VHA tapes, okay, and we had a TV in there, and we would sit there and watch this video and talk about leadership and stuff, and then we had to write down how are we going to apply that, and then how did we, so we actually talked about, had meetings about, and learned. But nobody does that anymore. I mean, nobody. We were trying to do that. I was trying to do that over there at Chevy, but I got shot down with, we're training too much.
I think Kyle 2 days ago said this himself: self accountability.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend the time to read that book, and you're going to go in and talk about it,
it's called humble.
Go act on it.
Well, you got to be
what
humble.
What the hell are you doing?
If you want to be successful in life, you got to know you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You get the one thing you got to do is say, okay, I know I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to make a mistake. You have to be able to say, okay, I have to get through to it. I got to get through the mistake, right?
Yep.
So must be a phone.
Kyle's going to take a phone call.
So the bad part is you get these guys, and I've seen it. Okay, I've seen it, and I'm not in that environment anymore. I've decided to branch out. It's one of the reasons I decided to do this. But I've seen where these guys come up. They work 6 years in the car business, 7 years. Mommy and daddy's got a dealership, or they know somebody, and because of that, they think they're ready to run a dealership. And so they throw them in these seats, and then you've got somebody overseeing them saying, "Hey, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this," and then they're making bad decisions based on their P&L reports instead of
operations.
Yeah, and it's and then we hire all these people that won't get trained because nobody wants to spend the time to train them. You're supposed to be on the phone making 8,000 phone calls instead of developing. We had developed a onboarding process that was really good. We spent a lot of time doing this, and it got shot down. We had 4 general managers in 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
And then the next general manager comes in and shoots it down because it's too time consuming. Well, I'm like, there's no consistency.
Hey, do you have any idea how many sales staff in a dealership fakes phone calls to make the number?
Oh, I know. I check them.
It's an art. There's some of the kids, they've got it down to an art on how to pull it off and make it work.
That's
I learned from them.
That's our fault. That's our fault for putting them in that position for them to do that. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, how do you, I don't know. It's just, you're right.
You got to ask the why. Like, why are we doing this?
Well,
regardless, if it's an email, a phone call, a one-on-one,
okay. So if you get,
whatever.
Let me ask you this, okay? If you're playing sports or any sports, and you have all these statistics that everybody's grinding you on, right?
Yep.
You're gonna and you're busting you're trying to figure out, okay, hey, I've got to get this guy better. And you're a manager, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the guy can't hit a curveball. You've been out there practicing, and your butt's on the line because you're looking at this report because this guy can't hit a curveball.
Yeah.
As what path of least resistance? What's that manager going to do?
I'm gonna me personally.
You're going to go help the guy hit the curveball.
Either that, or I'm
get
gonna
rid of him.
I'm not going to get rid of him. I'm going to find out what his strengths are, and let's focus on
that.
those.
Right. So you put the guy in a position to win.
Right.
So
that's what you do.
So if a pitcher's pitching that day and he doesn't know how to throw a curveball, that's the guy you're going to have in the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we don't do that in the car business. Okay, what they do is they have all these reports out there, and we're so focused on the reports.
Metrics. Yeah,
right.
It's all metrics.
Right, that we're not focused on how to make people get there. So they fudge the reports. I bet you right now, if you go back and someone really did an audit on the reports, I mean wholeheartedly, there's so much data that it's going to be hard to do this. Mm-hmm. They'll find out that 90% of their stores don't tell the truth.
Oh, of course.
And then now the bottom line is the bottom line. But I really wish, and that's why we left, because we are going to try to do this. We're going to create an environment where people are the most important thing, and their development, becoming better human beings and better at what they do and having fun in life comes first.
Yep.
Success will be there.
So back in the good old days, the big company I worked for was Whole Foods Market, right? So back in those days, when I first started with them, that's all that was important was work-life balance, you know?
Right.
And eventually that company lost its culture because it kept growing, and I left. But
So let me ask you this: when that happened, did the leadership change? Did the
the leadership, well, the leadership I think had to change because we were a publicly owned company now.
okay? So it did
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. Okay,
Personnel, no, but their mentality did.
because it was
It had
public.
to,
It
yeah.
So that's the problem. It's like they forget, and with the Van Tiles, the culture with the Van Tiles was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, and they were just, I met Larry a couple times. I met Mr. Van Tile Cecil a lot. I mean, we had dinners with him and stuff. Listening and talking to those, they were trendsetters. You could tell they were leaders. You could tell. When they sold the company, okay, and you just saw this change, and Buffett's a very successful guy. But what Buffett does, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I may be wrong on this, but he buys companies that are successful and doesn't really change anything. He just continues to infuse them with more cash and stuff so they can become bigger and better. And Berkshire, in my opinion, did that somewhat, but they really didn't do it as well as the Van Tiles did. And they've lost a lot of people. They lost a lot of that upper development, that upper leadership, and you can just see it. I mean, it's not the same company, and it just, I was proud to work for the Van Tiles. I'd walk out there and say I work for the Van Tile company, and then you'd hear people like, "Oh, that's a grind. They grind you." I'm like, "It's not a grind." If you do what
Anybody
you're supposed
said
to
that
do.
when you were in the car business when I got in, they looked at me like I was an idiot. Like, what are you doing?
I loved it. I
Hey.
loved it.
So I just got off the phone.
Did you sell a car?
No, but I did talk to a guy, and he said, "I'm sorry, I missed your phone call. I'm catching up on making returning customers' calls back." I said, "Well, I appreciate that." He said, "I've been in meetings all day." Okay, it's 3:57
Car guy.
in the afternoon. So if you've been in meetings all day, how productive is that employee? How productive is taking up that guy's time during the working hours so you can hold meetings?
Well, he's had a meeting about the meeting he just had, about the meeting earlier than that, too.
I'm an Elon Musk guy when it comes to a meeting. If I'm going to have a meeting with you, it's an email, and it's what I want done. And if you can't complete it, we got to figure something out together.
Hey, we don't even do that here.
No.
We're too close to each other. We
Yeah,
just
well,
have a
we're-
conversation.
We're
and done.
706 square feet in this
Yeah.
little old building.
Yeah.
So,
It's
Selling
the best
rides.
706 something square feet I've ever worked in. So
yeah, I'll keep this place as long as I can keep it. I love it. So,
Yeah, it's just looking around. It's
yeah, people walk in here
nice in here.
too. They walk in here like you're KY3, right? And the lady was complimenting how well this place looked.
yeah.
You know, it's funny because you're talking to the whole world right now on a podcast, right? And people in the next area kind of know this because it's got a good reputation where this place is. But we're literally, there's not a street that you can turn on that goes directly into our parking lot. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
We literally sat behind off of a street behind another organization. And
It's not easy to find.
it's not easy to find, but somehow people find it, right?
Well, the key other thing is that they said the excitement level. I know we're new, but really the excitement level when they came in here, they're like, "You guys are having a blast." I'm like, "Yeah, we're having fun. We're that's what it's about. It shouldn't be, we look at the reports. Yes, we look at what our dollar per is. Yes, we look at our expenses. We look at those every day. We're going through talking about, hey, do we need this? We need this. Do we need to spend money here? But we make the decision and we move on and go sell cars. And we're not sitting over here saying, "Hey, Brad, you've made 55 phone calls and made one appointment today. You can't go home this evening until you make another 75 phone calls." And da 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 da. And it just, And I'm not saying here. Let me tell you something. Well, for all the customers out there, do you like a guy calling you 75 times a day?
Yeah.
What happened to building a relationship with the consumer? What happened to that deal?
Not only that, they make these false pretenses to the customer, like, oh, if you come in right now, we're gonna have you in and out of here, and you're gonna, it's gonna be
That's
the
hilarious.
best experience you've ever had. And I'll call BS on that. That's one thing I hate. Like,
I'll show you BS on that.
tell the customer what it's really gonna be like. You're gonna come in, you're gonna sit and wait your turn, right? And, we're a big dealership. You may be there a few hours.
Yeah, no, by the way, if you're paying cash, we're going to make you sit
Oh,
longer.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing. Hey,
So
they literally had us, and I couldn't believe I bought into this. So it's on me. Okay, this is on me. Hey, if you're having outside lien, we don't want your business because we're not going to show enough profit. We would pass on people going to their own bank on deals.
we don't do that here.
No, not here, not at all.
Absolutely.
What
not.
in the world were we thinking? And I sat there, and so that is such bad business because we want the reporting to look better. Because if we don't sell them this product, it's not going to look good for our reports.
The boys upstairs have to keep an eye on us. That's why.
That's bad business. That's why we're talking with Brad. Because
That's
Brad,
bullshit's what it is there. I said-
we got the B word.
I
We didn't
said,
say-
I didn't. That's as bad
He
as
gets
it's going to
two
get.
cuss
I
words
promise.
per podcast.
I'm done.
So I know this podcast we've been talking about a lot of the bad business out there and stuff and why we let the corporate world, but we're going to kind of get off that a little bit. Let's talk
Really
about
quick, I want to talk about
yeah.
something positive here.
Yeah.
Right. This has happened 3 times this month. Customer shows up at closing time, test drives a car. We're not staying till 8:00, by the way. The customer understands that our family's first, and we get to go home to our family. 3 times this happened this month. We test drive the car. They call back the next morning and say, hey, we're in. We want the car. The way it's set up here, we contract and do everything e-sign. So no joke. You commit to the car, we e-sign, we contract you with e-sign. Whether you're down the block or in another state, it doesn't matter. You're signing the documents, your wife, whoever, signing the documents
before you even get
on
here.
your phone before you get here. Literally, you walk in the door, I hand you your keys, you hand me the check, and I give you a big kiss goodbye.
Yeah, your delivery's well too.
Yeah.
He offers to
He's
help
gonna
the
pick on
customer.
me.
He offers to help.
I got on to him the other day because I'm like, hey, they might want to know how to turn the car on, Brad. He goes, I go through it all. I go, I know you do. I got to give you crap.
Well,
The,
the
the
customer
people are
the
here
pro-
3
the-
times. So.
No, but the problem is that there's that. No, it's not that. I'm just teasing. He doesn't actually do that. He spends time with the customer up front. It's the delivery that we're done with. I mean,
we're finished.
We're done.
And most of the time, I mean, everybody who knows me has heard me say this
Yeah.
before. If you'll shut your mouth and listen to the customer, they're going to tell you more about the car than you'll ever
Right.
know.
And then, yeah,
Just
you're
shut
right.
up.
You're right.
You know?
It's been. We've had some bumps in the road a little bit here and there, but it's been really an eye-opening experience. Today we sat there and went through our. What did we do this morning? We went through our numbers, right?
Yeah.
And what did they say? What did our numbers say? We were
It's pretty impressive.
well, and we're not here,
335% ROI.
right? And we're just going. Okay, all right. We need more cars. I mean, it's the bottom line is we're growing. We're pacing. We're growing faster than what we can provide right now. So we got to get more cars. So that's a good thing. We got to stay humbled in that deal and make sure we're taking care of the customers and get these cars and move these cars. And that's the one thing that I learned in used cars. Move the cars, and you should do it new too. Move your inventory. Keep them moving. Keep it going. Don't keep old inventory. If you make a mistake, get off the car, move on, go buy another.
We have one rule: sell a car and buy a car every day.
That's
So
it.
That's it.
Pretty simple.
So but going back to everything, I'm sure this podcast here is going to go around because we're kind of been talking about the other dealers in town, and I'm not trying to badmouth any
Might have got on
dealers,
a little bit of a soapbox there
Right.
for a minute.
That's
But
all right.
but we're not trying to badmouth anybody. It's the establishment. Because I learned a lot from BHA. I've learned a lot from the Van Tiles. I've learned a lot from a lot of different people.
I think where you're coming from, he's a very passionate guy, okay? But where he's coming from is like, you don't know things until somebody tells you something's going on, right? And it's tough. We've been there. I've been there, man. You can become a pretty bad manager real easily when you're just swamped and doing things, and it's just kind of walking through the motions. And so people need to hear that. But certainly grateful for where we came from. I mean, we learned a lot.
absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you something. The most I learned was when I was a general manager of a store in Michigan, and it was a small store. I had in a small store. Just like this, you have to understand cash flow. You have to understand about every single dollar, and you have to understand, when you're making a decision on advertising, you have to look at it and say, okay, hey, don't hang on to it too long. If it's not working, pull the plug quick. You have to look at the numbers. That's the stuff that you learn. And
Same thing with the bad car, right?
Yeah, and then you have to learn. You really can't afford to lose an employee at those smaller stores.
Yep.
So it's just not just another. You really have to put your arms around them and make sure, okay, hey, are we doing the best? What can I do to help you become better? And when you get in these big stores, they've got so much going on. They got so much money coming through there. They've got, you got 200 ROs in the service department, right? You have 5 different departments producing income at all these different stages. Sometimes it's a lot, right? And you forget why you're there, and that's to grow the business. That's why you're there. But you grow it through your people and processes and development. And, when you sit in your office all day, which we've all done that, we've all gotten caught up in that at some point in our careers. When you sit out in your office all day and you don't go out and shake the guy's hand that's cleaning the cars and tell them thank you.
Yep. You don't know their names.
You don't even know their names.
Yep.
You're just, and then, that's when you become a prima donna. That's when you become the guy that's you're going to be there. You might be there short term and you're going to show some success, but it's going to ruin it. Unless you change, you're not going to be there long.
Your entire staff is talking about you, I promise.
100%. They won't go to war for you.
No.
And, hey, they'll be the ones that are sitting there fudging the numbers.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're doing.
Because, that'd be for you, because that's what you want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ask for a liar's report, they're going to give you a liar's
Right.
report.
Instead of sitting there saying, hey, all right, we're not very good here.
Yeah.
Let's grow at 5%. Let's get 1%, 2%, 3% better. How can we get better, guys? Let's do real numbers. How can we get better? That's the key to success.
You really want a guy out there making fake phone calls that produce no income for him. And at the end of the day, after he's beat himself up, you're going to hold him accountable to that.
Hey,
I had to do that. It was hard for me to do that.
I had a manager, and this is no crap, right? I had a manager. He was a friend of mine. As a matter of fact, I got so upset with him that he did this. We're not really friends anymore, which is sad. But he had a salesperson making phone calls under his code to make his report look better. And I'm like, okay, that's not what I want. Shame on both of you, right? That's not the kind of leadership I want, right? And I said, but think about that. Think about that. The guy's there on a commission sales based pay plan, right? And wants to
trying to hit his numbers.
And just trying to hit a number so someone doesn't say something to him instead of trying to sell a car.
Yep.
Right. I mean, it's not like you're working at the Hershey factory, right? And you've got to count 1,000 different Hershey Kisses and find that one bad one.
Why do you got to bring
out,
up
right?
chocolate all the time around me? Okay,
I'm doing it to hold
Hey,
yourself
is my head
accountable,
shining
man.
right now?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Is it?
sunburn.
And your face is red.
Is
Right.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sunburn.
yeah, it's all right. That's what happens.
Your
when
stay
beard's
red,
red,
though.
too.
we don't
I
have any,
know my beard is not red.
you don't have any hair.
It's white.
It's
It's semi-red.
I see some hints of red in there.
Right.
And some gray. Speckled gray, too. So,
Right. I think but the light on you right now is just
It's like it's
beautiful.
glowing.
it's
isn't it?
glowing like an angel, right?
Right.
It's glowing like an angel.
I'm far from that.
But anyway,
We're going to get him into heaven.
Appreciate the Hershey chocolate.
Good luck.
Now I need some chocolate. No Kit Kats for me. We talked about that. Chocolate milk and Kit Kats are out.
And
Hey,
no,
really quick, I want to say thank you to both you guys. I really appreciate. I know I'm a handful. I get it.
No.
Yes, I am.
No.
Yes, I am.
You ain't bothered me at all.
Yeah. I know that. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here. My wife thanks you. My family thanks you. And
Well,
we're going to thank, hopefully a ton of customers are going to thank us too.
Yeah, we're going to make some. I think the goal here is one, we want to take care of our families, but I think the goal here, we really want to. We're going to be changing some lives. I'm excited about Lyle. Lyle, if you guys don't know, is our 1948 F100, right?
Yep.
And Lyle is going to help us. There's a story with Lyle, which I'll let Kyle tell about that at a later time. But Lyle is going to be helping us make some changes in some people's lives, and children are going to be one of them. And I think we're going to have probably the biggest grins on our faces.
Oh, it'll be great.
And our families are going to be going, okay, this is really cool.
Yep.
And to be able to give back like that. And I was telling the folks from KY3 about it, and they're like going, okay, we gotta have to somehow be a part of that. Like, how can we? I go, we're a little bit ways away from. We got some work to do in Lyle, but
For our non-car people out there, if you haven't ever seen what the Lyle truck looks like, 1948 F100, you can reference it on. Just Google it. It looks like the Christmas tree truck. What's that?
what are we saying?
Point right here. Point. Just put your finger up. There's a picture of it right there.
Right there.
Oh,
We do. All right, there we go.
He's pointing.
That's Brecken,
our MC,
our
whatever
MC.
he is.
He's
Director, right?
He's our
What are you,
director.
Brecken?
He's our director.
Producer,
Producer, director.
director.
He
The
does it all.
man of many things.
Yes.
We're
Talent.
grateful for him.
I've
Many
yet
talents.
to find a talent that he doesn't have yet.
Oh, I'll give you one, but I don't think we want to say that on TV.
So
He's looking at me like, "going, you don't say it." I'm just kidding. The guy's extremely talented, but yeah, I'm excited about that. I think that's really what we're doing this for. I'm excited about growing, selling more cars. We're still getting referrals every day. It's been crazy. I'm excited about I think the direction, and I was sharing with them our 5-year plan, and it blew their mind. And then they were all looking at, you know what, that's actually going to work. I said, well, yeah, we think it is. I mean, it's working now. We just got to, what do we have to have? The right people and processes, right?
Correct. Yep.
So appreciate you being a part of it, buddy. You know what? We're going to make, you did very, very well on your first podcast. I'm proud of you.
I didn't. No F-bombs.
I think I called more people out than you did.
You did.
Huh?
You did. Yeah.
they feed off each other. Brad, you got any closing statements you want to say to the world before we hop off here?
No, just thanks for supporting us out here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Nick's has
It's
been
fun.
phenomenal.
It's a fun place here. So
Just the whole town's
just come
great.
buy a car.
Yeah, it is.
You want to get in and out of here in about 20 minutes? Come buy a car.
That's plus your test drive. Your test,
Yeah, that's your test drive too, because I won't show you anything about the car.
That's right. He's not going to bore you with features.
No.
This is the power locks and power windows.
Yeah.
What is this? What is this? I think this thing's a Lexi.
Yeah. One of them Lexus.
One of them Lexuses.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to tell everybody, go out there, have a great week. If you're in sales, I'll say this on blue in the face. Just try to be 1% better every day.
1% better. Keep your head up. Be humbled. Learn. We gave a book out the last podcast. If you haven't gotten that book, I suggest that you get that. But more importantly, what Brad was sitting there saying, read the book and then do something about it. Make the change. You
Put
want to
it in
become
action.
Put it in action, and go for it. And I think you.
Even
I
if
think
you're
you'll be
not in
thankful for
sales,
it.
all those books are good for people. I mean,
They
I
are.
think they're just a way of life, right? So
They're not for show, by the way.
No.
Don't lay them out so people think you're reading them.
Right.
yeah, they're
Because
not
they
like a
see right through
treadmill.
you.
They're not there to collect dust. They're there for
You're not
knowledge.
supposed to put them in a trophy box.
No.
right. So we'll see
right.
you guys next week.
All right. Have a good one.
Peace.